First contact gone wrong. The research vessel UES Aurora glided silently through the darkness of deep space, its sleek form barely visible against the backdrop of distant stars. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on the mysterious nebula that had drawn them 12 light-years from Earth. After 3 years of peaceful exploration, the crew of 200 had mapped dozens of star systems, but this was different. The nebula's unusual energy signatures suggested something artificial. "Dr. Chen," the ship's AI announced softly, "Captain Rodriguez requests your presence on the bridge. We're detecting unusual energy signatures." Sarah hurried through the ship's pristine corridors, her footsteps echoing against metal floors. The Aurora represented humanity's finest achievement in space exploration, a vessel dedicated purely to scientific discovery, though equipped with defensive capabilities that had never been needed. The bridge hummed with quiet tension when she arrived. Captain Elena Rodriguez, a veteran of Earth's space program, stood before the main display, her expression grave. "Dr. Chen, look at this." She gestured to a holographic representation of the nebula, where 3 distinct shapes had emerged from the cosmic gases. "First contact," Sarah whispered, her heart racing. They had prepared for this moment, but the reality still struck her with awe. The objects were clearly ships, their crystalline structures unlike anything human engineers had conceived. "They're approaching rapidly," Lieutenant James Park reported from his station. No response to our greeting broadcasts. Captain Rodriguez straightened her uniform. "Continue broadcasting on all frequencies. Remember your training, people. This is what we've prepared for." The alien vessels drew closer, their crystalline forms refracting the light of nearby stars. They were beautiful in their otherworldliness, each nearly twice the size of the Aurora. The bridge crew watched in tense silence as the distance closed. Suddenly, the lead alien ship erupted with energy. Before anyone could react, a brilliant beam of purple light lanced through space. "Shields," Rodriguez shouted, but it was too late. The beam struck the Aurora's port side, tearing through the hull like paper. Emergency alarms blared as atmosphere vented into space. "Multiple hull breaches," Park yelled over the chaos. "We've lost decks 3 through 5. Sarah gripped her console as the ship shuddered under another impact. "Why are they attacking? We did nothing to provoke this." The alien ships moved with terrible precision, each shot deliberately targeting the Aurora's vital systems. Through the cacophony of alarms and explosions, a transmission cut through their communications. "Primitive species," a cold, metallic voice declared. "You have entered Crithian space without authorization. Your technology level is insufficient for interstellar travel. As per Imperial Protocol 447, your vessel will be destroyed to maintain order." Captain Rodriguez's face hardened. "This is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the Earth vessel Aurora. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations. Please cease fire and allow us tow." Another blast cut through the ship, destroying the starboard engine. The Aurora listed heavily, emergency power flickering. "Casualties on all decks," Park reported, his voice breaking. 57 confirmed dead. Medical bay is overwhelmed." Rodriguez made the hardest decision of her career. "All hands, abandon ship. Emergency Protocol Omega, get to the escape pods." She turned to Sarah. "Dr. Chen, initiate data burst transmission to Earth. They need to know what happened here." Sarah's fingers flew across her console, compressing 3 years of scientific data along with the last 10 minutes of sensor logs into a tight beam transmission. As she worked, more alien beams sliced through the dying ship. "Escape pods launching," Park announced. "Pods 1 through 15 away. 16 through 25. Direct hit on Pod Bay 3. We've lost the remaining pods." The bridge shook violently as another blast took out their remaining engine. Through the view screen, Sarah watched the alien ships circling like predators, methodically destroying their home of 3 years. "Data burst away," she reported, tears streaming down her face. The transmission would reach Earth in 12 years unless someone picked it up at one of the relay stations they'd left behind. Captain Rodriguez stood tall, even as her ship died around her. "It's been an honor serving with all of you. Humanity will remember this day, and they will learn from it." The final blast struck the Aurora's core. In her last moments, Sarah thought not of the death approaching, but of Earth, 12 light years away. They had sought to explore, to learn, to peacefully meet other civilizations. Instead, they had discovered that the galaxy was not the peaceful place they had hoped. As the Aurora exploded in a brilliant flash of light, the Crithian ships were already composing their report to the Imperial capital. Unauthorized vessel eliminated. Sector security maintained. Glory to the Empire. They didn't bother to check if any messages had been sent. They didn't consider that the destruction of a single research vessel might have consequences. They didn't know that in 12 years, when that data burst reached Earth, humanity would respond not with fear, but with determination. The Crithian Empire had ruled the stars for 10,000 years through fear and technological superiority. But they had just made a grave mistake. They had assumed that humanity's peaceful approach meant weakness. They would learn, too late, that Earth had never sent its warships into space, not because they didn't have them, but because they had hoped they wouldn't need them. In the debris field that had been the Aurora, a single emergency beacon activated, its signal barely powerful enough to reach the nearest human relay station. Its message was simple: remember the Aurora. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity's dedication to peace was a choice, not a weakness. And when that choice was taken away, when peaceful exploration was answered with unprovoked destruction, humanity would reveal why they had always kept their true military capabilities hidden. The stars watched in silence as the Crithian ships disappeared into hyperspace, leaving behind the scattered remains of humanity's dreams of peaceful first contact. But in that silence, the seeds of change had already been planted. The Aurora's destruction would not go unanswered, and the galaxy would never be the same. Project Titan's rise. Deep within the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, hidden in the shadow of Sirius, humanity's greatest secret waited. Admiral Marcus Way stood in the observation room of Project Titan's command center, watching construction drones swarm around the massive form taking shape in the void. The message from the Aurora's emergency beacon had reached Earth 3 months ago. The response had been immediate. Project Titan, already under development for 15 years, would be accelerated. What was meant to be humanity's insurance policy had become its sword of vengeance. Status report, Way demanded, his weathered face reflected in the reinforced plexiglass window. Colonel Diana Foster approached, her tablet displaying real-time construction metrics. Hull integrity at 98%. Quantum shield generators are online and exceeding specifications. The only remaining challenge is the dark matter drive integration. Weed nodded slowly. The UES Titan would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. While humanity had presented a peaceful face to the cosmos, they had never been naive. Deep in the shadows of the solar system, they had been preparing for the worst. "Show me the weapons testing results," Way ordered. The holographic display filled with data. The Titan's main weapon, the Helios cannon, had already demonstrated power outputs that would make the Crithian weapons look like toys. But it wasn't just about raw power. Human ingenuity had produced systems that thought differently about space combat. "Sir," Foster interjected, "Director Chen is here." We turned to see Catherine Chen enter the room, her lab coat pristine despite the perpetual construction dust that seemed to coat everything else. As the daughter of Dr. Sarah Chen, one of the Aurora's lost crew, she had thrown herself into Project Titan with fierce determination. "The AI core integration is complete," she announced without preamble. "ARIA is fully online. Advanced Response Intelligence Algorithm. ARIA was perhaps the Titan's greatest secret, not just an AI, but a quantum consciousness that could coordinate thousands of systems simultaneously. The Crithians relied on brute force. Humanity would fight smarter. "Good morning, Admiral Wei." Ari's voice emanated from hidden speakers, warm and confident. "All systems are operating within optimal parameters. I am ready to serve." Wei allowed himself a small smile. "Welcome aboard, Aria. Together, we're going to reshape the galaxy's understanding of humanity." The observation room's displays lit up with internal views of the Titan. At 4 kilometers long, it was larger than any human vessel ever constructed, but still smaller than the massive Crithian dreadnoughts. Yet size wasn't everything. The Titan represented a philosophical difference in how humanity approached space combat. "Show me the drone swarm," Wei commanded. Thousands of small points of light appeared around the Titan's holographic representation. Each drone was barely larger than a fighter jet, but together they formed a defensive and offensive network that could adapt to any threat. The Crithians built their ships like fortresses. Humanity had built an ecosystem. Built an ecosystem. "Time to completion?" Wei asked. Foster consulted her tablet. "Final systems integration in 72 hours. Crew can begin boarding in 96. The crew, 1,500 of Earth's finest, each chosen not just for their skills, but for their ability to think creatively. They would be supported by Aria and an army of automated systems, allowing the Titan to operate with a fraction of the crew a Crithian vessel of similar size would require. "Dr. Chen," Wei turned to Catherine. "Your mother's research data from the Aurora. It proved invaluable, didn't it?" Catherine's eyes hardened. "Yes. Their attack on a research vessel gave us exactly what we needed, detailed scans of their technology in action. The Aurora died gathering intelligence that will help us defeat them." Wei placed a hand on her shoulder. They thought they were swatting an insect. They didn't realize they were poking a dragon. The construction drones continued their work, assembling the final pieces of humanity's response. The Titan's hull was designed to absorb and redirect energy. Its quantum shields could adapt to any weapon frequency, and its drone swarms could reconfigure themselves for any battle scenario. "Message from Earth Command," Foster announced. "The Crithians have destroyed another civilian research outpost. No survivors." Wei's jaw tightened. "They're growing bolder." "How many dead?" 327. Mostly scientists and their families." The Admiral turned back to the window, watching his reflection's expression darken. "They think we're weak because we value peace. They mistake our restraint for inability." He straightened his uniform. "Send word to all department heads. We launch in 48 hours, not 96. The Crithians have had their fun. It's time they learned why humanity chose peace rather than being forced into it." Through the window, the Titan's hull gleamed as construction lasers made their final passes. Its shape was unlike traditional human or Crithian designs. Smooth curves blended with sharp angles, creating a form that was both beautiful and terrifying. This was humanity's answer to an empire that understood only strength. "Aria," Wei addressed the AI. "Begin final systems check. When we launch, I want us ready for immediate combat operations." "Understood, Admiral," Aria responded. "May I share an observation? The Crithians' historical records show they have never faced a species that could meaningfully resist them. Their doctrine is based entirely on overwhelming force against weaker opponents." Wei smiled grimly. "Then we'll teach them something new. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to adapt, to think differently, to turn disadvantages into advantages." The Titan would launch not just as a warship, but as a statement. Humanity had tried peace. They had extended friendship. Now they would show the galaxy why their peaceful nature was a choice, not a limitation. In the void of space, the final pieces of humanity's masterpiece came together. Soon, the galaxy would learn that destroying the Aurora hadn't been the Crithian Empire's first mistake, but it would certainly be their last. The Battle of Proxima. The Crithian border fleet hung in high orbit around Proxima Centauri's third planet, their crystalline ships glinting in the red dwarf's light. Fleet Commander Zextal stood on his flagship's command deck, his 4 eyes narrowed as reports came in of an unknown vessel approaching their position. "Single ship, approaching from the direction of Sol," his sensor officer reported. "Size indicates a heavy cruiser, but the energy signature is unusual." Zextal clicked his mandibles in amusement. The humans had finally gathered the courage to respond to their lesson. How primitive. Sending a single ship against our fleet of 30. Show me. The holographic display flickered to life, and Zextal's amusement died in his throat. The approaching vessel defied Krathian ship classification. Its hull seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it, and its energy signature pulsed with power readings that couldn't be right. Aboard the UES Titan, Admiral Way sat calmly in his command chair as they approached the Krathian fleet. "Area. Tactical analysis. 30 Krathian vessels detected." The AI responded smoothly. 24 destroyers, 5 cruisers, 1 flagship. Their formation suggests they underestimate our capabilities. Drone swarms are ready for deployment. Helios cannon charged to 80% capacity. Catherine Chen stood at her station, monitoring the quantum shield frequencies. "They're scanning us, Admiral. Their energy signatures are spiking." "Let them," White replied. "Colonel Foster, begin Phase 1. Diana Foster's fingers danced across her tactical console. From the Titan's launch bays, thousands of drones emerged, each barely visible to the naked eye. They spread out in a seemingly random pattern, their true purpose masked by their apparent chaos. On the Krathian flagship, alarms began to sound. "Multiple small craft detected," an officer reported. "They appear to be primitive drones." "Irrelevant," Zextal declared. "Open fire. Show these humans the price of defiance." The Krathian fleet released their signature purple energy beams, each powerful enough to tear through conventional shields. The beams struck the Titan's quantum shields and vanished. "Shields holding at 100%, Catherine reported, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "Their weapon frequencies have been analyzed and adapted to." We leaned forward. "Area. Execute combat pattern Aurora." The drone swarm suddenly shifted, forming complex geometric patterns that the Krathian tactical systems couldn't process. Each drone was a node in a vast network, creating a quantum entanglement field that amplified the Titan's capabilities. "What trickery is this?" Zextal demanded as his weapons appeared to have no effect. "Launch fighters. Destroy those drones." Krathian fighters poured from their carrier bays, sleek and deadly. They had dominated space combat for millennia, but they had never faced anything like this. The drone swarms split into smaller units, each acting with impossible coordination. As the Krathian fighters approached, they found themselves trapped in a dance they couldn't understand. The drones didn't just evade. They turned the fighters' own momentum against them, creating gravitational eddies that sent them spinning into each other. "Now," Y commanded softly. The Titan's Helios cannon spoke for the first time. A beam of concentrated solar plasma, enriched by dark matter manipulation, lanced out. It didn't target the Krathian ships directly. Instead, it struck the space between them. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then reality itself appeared to twist. The quantum singularity created by the Helios cannon expanded, catching 3 Krathian destroyers in its grasp. Their crystalline hulls, impervious to conventional weapons, shattered as space-time distorted around them. "Impossible," Zextal roared. "All ships, concentrate fire on their weapon systems." But the Titan was already moving, its hull flowing like liquid metal as it effortlessly evaded the Krathian barrage. The drone swarm had created a 3-dimensional map of quantum probability, allowing ARIA to predict and counter every move before it happened. "Their shields are adapting to our weapons," a Krathian officer reported, panic in his voice. "We can't penetrate them." Wei's voice was cold as he gave his next order. "Show them why you don't attack Earth's scientists." The drone swarm collapsed inward, thousands of units combining their energy fields. The space around the Crithian fleet began to warp and bend. Their ships, designed to project power through brute force, found themselves trapped in a web of quantum fluctuations they couldn't comprehend. "This is impossible," Zextal whispered. "We are the Crithian Empire. We have ruled space for 10,000 years. No primitive species could." "This is Admiral Marcus Way of the UES Titan." Way's voice cut through all Crithian communication channels. "You murdered our scientists, our explorers, our people who came in peace. Now you will understand why humanity chose peace rather than being forced into it." The Helios cannon fired again, and this time the Crithian fleet learned that their 10,000 years of dominance meant nothing in the face of human innovation. Ships that had terrorized countless species were torn apart by forces their builders had never imagined possible. "Admiral," Catherine reported, her voice tight with emotion, "the Crithian flagship is attempting to flee." Way stood from his command chair. "Let them go. Let them carry our message back to their empire." Zextal's flagship limped away from the battlefield, its crew watching in horror as the rest of their fleet was systematically dismantled by a single human vessel. The destroyer they had casually eliminated 3 months ago had been a mere scout. This was humanity's true face. As the Titan's drone swarm reassembled, Admiral Way looked at the debris field that had been the Crithian border fleet. "Send word to Earth Command. Phase 1 is complete. The Crithians will soon learn that their empire isn't the only power in the galaxy, and that some species are better left in peace." The UES Titan turned toward its next target, its dark hull seeming to absorb the light of Proxima Centauri. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and the age of Crithian dominance was about to end. Empire's downfall. The Imperial Palace on Krythos Prime had stood for 10,000 years, its crystalline spires reaching toward the triple suns that crowned the Empire's capital world. Now, those same spires trembled with the sounds of chaos as the High Council convened in emergency session. Supreme Commander Vexthor slammed his ceremonial staff against the chamber floor, its crystal tip cracking under the force. 3 fleets, he roared at the assembled counselors. 3 entire fleets reduced to debris by a single human vessel. The council chamber, designed to amplify the authority of Crithian leaders, now only amplified their fear. Holograms displayed the latest intelligence. The UES Titan methodically moving through Crithian space, leaving shattered fleets and liberated worlds in its wake. High Counselor Melera, her scales dulled with age and worry, studied the tactical displays. "How?" she whispered. "How could we have miscalculated so badly?" On the main display, footage from the Battle of Proxima played again. The Titan's drone swarms dancing through space, its quantum shields absorbing everything the Crithian ships threw at them. Its mysterious weapon bending reality itself. But it wasn't just the technology that terrified them. It was the precision, the efficiency, the complete absence of wasted effort. "We have reports from the outer colonies," General Caxtil announced, his voice trembling. "The subjected species are rising up. They've seen the footage. They know the Empire can be defeated. The Praxis system, the Neveran cluster, the 1,000 worlds of the Outer Rim, all places where the Empire's iron grip was slipping. Centuries of oppression had created a powder keg, and humanity had lit the fuse." In the shadows of the council chamber, Intelligence Director Syntax watched silently. Her agents had pieced together humanity's true history, and what they found had shaken her to her core. "We never understood them," she said finally, drawing all eyes to her corner. "We saw their peaceful exploration vessels and assumed weakness. We never asked why a species capable of building something like the Titan chose not to use it first." The chamber's displays shifted to show Earth's history, a planet torn by countless wars, yet one that had somehow achieved unity. A species that had mastered the atom, reached for the stars, and then chosen to approach the galaxy with open hands rather than raise weapons. "They're not like us," Syntax continued. "The Titan isn't just a warship. It's a testament to what they could have built all along. They chose peace, but prepared for war. We mistook their restraint for weakness, their diplomacy for fear. We were wrong. A junior officer burst into the chamber, protocol forgotten in his panic. The Titan has been detected approaching the Cardiff system. The council erupted in chaos. Cardiff was one of the Empire's primary shipyard systems, home to facilities that had built their fleets for millennia. If it fell, launch everything we have. Supreme Commander Vex Thor ordered. Every ship, every weapon. We cannot lose Cardiff. But even as he gave the order, reports were coming in from the system. The Titan hadn't attacked the shipyards. Instead, its drone swarms had infiltrated them, spreading through computer systems and command networks. Across the system, Crithian weapons and ships were powering down, their crystal matrices rewritten by human eye. "We're receiving a transmission," the communications officer announced. From the Titan. Admiral Way's hologram appeared in the center of the council chamber. He looked not like a conqueror, but like a tired teacher dealing with unruly students. "Your fleet at Cardiff has surrendered," he stated simply. "Your shipyards are under our control. You have 1 hour to begin peace negotiations. You dare dictate terms to the Crithian Empire." Vex Thor sputtered. "We have ruled the stars for 10,000 years, yes," Way interrupted. "And in 3 months, a single human ship has demonstrated how meaningless that number is. We didn't come to conquer you. We came to stop you from conquering others." The council chamber fell silent as Way's words sank in. Outside, the sounds of rioting grew louder as word of the Cardiff defeat spread through the capital. "The choice is yours," Way continued. "Continue fighting and watch your empire crumble completely, or help us build something better. You have 1 hour." As the hologram faded, High Counselor Melera turned to her fellow leaders. 10,000 years of empire, built on the belief that might makes right. And now we face a species that has might beyond our comprehension, yet chooses to use it only in defense of others. In the streets below, the first crystal spires began to fall, not from human weapons, but from the anger of countless species finally finding the courage to rise up. The Titan had not just defeated Crithian fleets, it had shattered the very foundation of their power. Intelligence Director Syntax stepped into the center of the chamber. "We have 47 minutes until their deadline. I suggest we use them wisely. The age of the Crithian Empire is over. The only question is whether we will help shape what comes next, or be swept aside by it." One by one, the council members looked at the tactical displays, at the reports of uprising and rebellion, at the footage of their mighty fleets reduced to debris by human innovation. They had ruled through fear and power for 10,000 years. Now they faced a species that had perfected both, yet chose to use neither. The choice, as Admiral Way had said, was theirs. But as the crystal spires of their capital continued to fall, it was becoming clear that the choice had already been made for them. The galaxy was changing, and the Crithian Empire would either change with it or be lost to history. In the space above Cardiff, the Titan waited patiently, its drone swarms maintaining their silent vigil over the captured shipyards. Humanity had not come to conquer, but to correct. The Empire had ruled through fear for 10,000 years. Now it would learn what real strength looked like. A new dawn. 1 year after the fall of the Crithian Empire, the Great Hall of the newly established Galactic Concordat hummed with activity. Representatives from 100 species filled the chamber, their voices mixing in a symphony of languages as they prepared for the historic session. The hall itself was a testament to the new era, built not of Crithian crystal, but of materials from all member worlds, including Earth steel and marble. Admiral Marcus Way, now serving as Earth's first representative to the Concordat, stood at the chamber's observation window. The UES Titan floated in high orbit above, its dark hull now a symbol not of war, but of protection. Alongside it, ships of dozens of designs patrolled peacefully, including several reformed Crithian vessels. "Quite a change from last year," Catherine Chen said, joining him at the window. She had traded her tactical officer's uniform for diplomatic attire, though the memory of the Aurora's loss still showed in her eyes. "Your mother would be proud," Wei replied softly. "The Aurora's mission of peaceful contact will finally be realized." The chamber's central platform rose, and former intelligence director Syntax took her place as the interim leader of the reformed Crithian Federation. Her scales had brightened with renewed purpose in recent months. "1 year ago," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall, "we thought we understood power. We had ruled through force for 10,000 years, and we believed this made us strong." She paused, her 4 eyes scanning the assembled delegates. "We were wrong." Holographic displays activated around the chamber, showing scenes from the past year. Former slave species being freed, Crithian technology being shared rather than hoarded, joint scientific missions replacing military patrols. Humanity taught us that true strength lies not in domination, but in cooperation. Syntax continued. They could have destroyed us. Instead, they chose to help us change. Araya's familiar voice emerged from the chamber's speakers, now serving as the chief coordinator for the Concordat's vast information network. Incoming transmission from the Perseus expedition. The main display shifted to show a joint human-Crithian research vessel exploring the far reaches of the galaxy. Dr. Zextal, the son of the commander who had first encountered the Titan, worked alongside human scientists, their past enmity forgotten in the pursuit of knowledge. The Perseus team reports the discovery of primitive life forms in Sector 7, Araya announced. They are requesting guidance on first contact protocols. Wei smiled at the irony. The species that had once destroyed peaceful explorers was now asking how to peacefully approach others. He stepped forward to address the chamber. 1 year ago, humanity revealed its true capabilities to the galaxy, he began. Not because we wanted to, but because we had to. The Titan wasn't built to conquer, but to defend. To ensure that peaceful exploration would always be protected. The chamber's displays showed the Titan's drone swarms, now being adapted for scientific research and humanitarian missions. The same technology that had defeated the Crithian fleet was now helping to rebuild worlds they had once oppressed. Today, we take the next step, Wei continued. The Titan will become the first of the Concordat's guardianships, crewed by members of all our species. Its power will serve not one world, but all worlds. Through the chamber's windows, the Titan's hull began to shift, its adaptive nanomaterials changing color from tactical black to a shimmering silver that reflected the light of distant stars. It was no longer just Earth's defender, but a symbol of united species standing together. High Counselor Melara, now serving as the voice for formerly subjugated worlds, rose to speak. "We feared the humans when they first demonstrated their power," she admitted. "We thought they would become the new Crithians. Instead, they showed us a different path. They proved that the strongest civilizations are those that lift others up rather than pushing them down." The chamber erupted in agreement, dozens of species that had once cowered under Crithian rule now standing as equals. Catherine wiped a tear from her eye as she watched. "The Aurora's crew died seeking peaceful contact," she whispered. "Today, we honor their memory by making that dream real." The Galactic Concordat's first official act was to establish the Aurora Protocols, guidelines for peaceful first contact and protection of developing civilizations. The second was to commission a fleet of new guardian ships, each built with combined technology and crewed by multiple species. As the session concluded, Wei found himself back at the observation window. The galaxy spread out before him, not as a realm to be conquered, but as a frontier to be explored together. Humanity had shown its strength, not through destruction, but through the power to change hearts and minds. "Admiral," Arai interrupted his thoughts, "the Perseus team is awaiting instructions on the newly discovered life forms." Wei smiled. "Tell them to proceed with peaceful contact protocols. After all, that's who we really are. Explorers, diplomats, builders." The Titan reminded the galaxy that peace isn't weakness, but the ultimate strength. Above, the silver ship caught the light of a distant sun, its drone swarms forming patterns that looked almost like stars themselves. Humanity had come to the galaxy seeking peace, prepared for war, and achieved something greater than both: unity. The age of empire was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And